Hello bookworms, it's Jade from Bedtime Bookworm and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here to bring you episode 1 of my writing diaries. I've seen other channels do writing diaries and I really like watching them, but I also wanted to document my writing journey for myself, for me to look back on in the future. I have no idea how long I'm going to be writing or keep writing. I don't know if this is like a fad I'm going through and I'm gonna hate it and I'm gonna quit, or I'm gonna love it, I'm gonna keep going. I really don't know where this writing journey is going to take me, but I wanted to document it mostly for myself, but also to share on my channel. I've thought about making this episode 1 many times over the last year just because I have learned a lot, but I'm going to try and summarize a lot of that information because I don't want this video to be too long. What I'm going to be talking about in this video today is a quick, well, hopefully a quick recap on my writing journey so far, like the things that I've done and learned. And then I want to go over some of the resources I've come across. I've done a lot of research over the last year, and I have a lot of different things that I've looked at, and I thought maybe I would share them with you. And then last, I'm going to go over some of my plans for NaNoWriMo this year, and kind of where my head is at now that it's halfway through October before I do NaNoWriMo for the first time. Okay, so kind of starting from the beginning, I have never really been interested in writing fiction. I've just never been one of those people who has a lot of ideas for stories, and because of that, I was never really interested in being an author. It wasn't until I joined the online book community, and more specifically when I started going to book events and hearing authors talk about their own writing processes, that really kind of got me interested in the idea of writing something. Up until this point, all of my writing has been like for research papers and scientific papers, things like that for college. I'm still not quite sure if I really want to be an author because I want to be an author, or if it's just that seeing these authors and meeting these authors has like idealized the author life and author lifestyle for me, and I want to do it because I think that's a cool thing to do. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's something that I really enjoy doing, but I figure I won't really know until I give it a try. Anyways, a couple years ago, I got excited about NaNoWriMo and thought that I might try it, but I really didn't have any story ideas or anything. So my plan was to take the year of 2017 and do some studying and some prep work and get an idea ready to do NaNoWriMo in 2017. Well, that didn't happen because 2017 was a really busy year for me. I had a lot of just big life changes. By the time NaNoWriMo came around in 2017, I wasn't ready. I thought I was, but I wasn't. I actually made a video about that called I Quit NaNoWriMo. I'll link it for you in case you want some more like background information on how that went. So then my plan was that in 2018, I would really focus on getting prepared to do NaNoWriMo in 2018. And the good news is that I did do that. I participated in both camp NaNoWriMos, so there was a camp in April, and during April, I set an hourly goal of, I think it was 30 or 31 hours, however many days there are in April. So my goal was to study the craft of writing for 1 hour every day of April, and I completed that. I did a lot of research. I really love learning anything in general, and a lot of my hobbies come about because I want to learn something new. Like I started a book blog back in the day because I wanted to learn how to make a website. And then I started a booktube channel partially because I wanted to learn how to edit videos. Something I had never done before. I didn't really think it was something that I was going to like doing, but now it's like my favorite thing to do. But I like learning things. So when it came to writing a book, the first thing that I wanted to do was to learn how to write a book. Like I had no idea where to start. So that's what I did for Camp Nano in April. I studied my butt off on how to write a story, how to make a plot, all of that stuff, which those are the resources that I'm gonna be sharing with you a little later in the video. And then during Camp Nano in June, my goal was to write a 6,000 word outline. I did kind of pull that number out of the air. I just figured it sounded like a decent outline because I didn't want it to be like just bullet pointed outline. I wanted it to be a little more fleshed out because my idea is that when it comes to Nano in November, I wanted to have a really solid outline so that I can really focus on getting my words out. I wanted to know where the story was going because a lot of the Nano failure stories I've heard before happen when people get to the middle of their story and they just don't know where they're going, and then they either quit or they start rambling and going off in tangents that end up not really fitting cohesively with the story in the end. So that was why I really wanted to start working on my outline early and kind of get that figured out in July. And I won. I wrote 6,104 words of an outline. Granted, that's very front-loaded. My first half of my outline is way more fleshed out than the second half, but from what I hear, that's pretty normal, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to flesh it out either before Nano starts in a couple weeks or as I'm going along. Even with this 6,000 plus word outline completed in July, is it June or July? I don't remember. I still don't quite feel prepared for NaNoWriMo, and that's why at the beginning of this month I was sort of getting cold feet. I just don't feel ready to sit down and write 50,000 words. Like, that just sounds like such a huge obstacle, and it's so different from anything I've ever done before, and I'm just really intimidated by it. But as I talked about in my Laini Taylor video, hearing her talk once again inspired me. I mean, that's where this all started, right? Hearing authors talk about their process and how they go about writing their amazing stories and being published. That's what got me inspired to want to possibly be an author one day in the first place. So hearing her talk about it, especially talking about completing novels and trying not to spend so much time planning, but more time like actually writing, all of that really resonated with me and re-inspired me to do Nano this year. Now I'm really excited about my Nano project. I really have no idea if I'm gonna win, but I'm definitely gonna try my hardest. If you want to add me as a writing buddy on the Nano website, my username there is just Bedtime Bookworm. So definitely come and find me and add me if you want. I actually just downloaded the new Scrivener because I had the old one, so I needed to, or I could upgrade to the newer version. And I did that, and I actually had a little bit of a heart attack because at first I couldn't figure out how to open my file, but I did some Googling and I figured it out, and everything is all ready to go there. So yeah, I'm still terrified of the idea of trying to write a novel, and I don't feel prepared enough, but I think at this point I'm never gonna feel prepared enough, and I just need to go for it. Before I start talking about the resources that I've discovered over the past year, I guess I could tell you a little bit about my novel. So at this point, I'm not planning on ever getting this novel published. I'm just like looking at it as a practice novel. I know I'm gonna learn so much just in the process of writing this, and it takes a little bit of the pressure off of myself if I am not going into it thinking that this is going to be published one day. So I don't mind telling you guys like the basic plot and even maybe some more specifics as we get into Nano. So to try and keep things sort of easy on myself, I decided to write a zombie outbreak novel because it's basically our world with the added twist of zombies and the need for survival. I really couldn't think of like a contemporary plot, and the idea of writing contemporary really doesn't appeal to me, and the idea of trying to create a fantasy world seemed too overwhelming. So I thought that a zombie book was like a perfect in-between for me. So my zombie book is about this girl named Casey. She's a pre-med college student and is doing an internship at the hospital when the zombie outbreak happens. So after she sees her first zombie, her immediate reaction is that she needs to get home to her family. So her family consists of her dad and her younger sister, who has diabetes, and Casey has been very involved in taking care of her younger sister, especially about her diabetes, ever since their mother died when they were younger. So the basic premise of the story is that Casey wants to protect her younger sister who has diabetes and needs insulin constantly in a world that is falling apart and full of zombies. A lot of the story is going to revolve around the two sisters and their relationship. They are very different people, as you know, most sisters are. So currently I wrote the outline with just Casey's point of view because I was trying to keep things simple, and I thought just having one point of view would be more simple. But after completing Camp Nano in July and writing the outline, it occurred to me that if I really want to examine the sisters' relationship with each other, that it makes sense to include her sister as a second point of view. I'm not really sure if I'm going to be able to revisit the outline and sort of add in more of Casey's sister's point of view or scenes from Casey's sister into the outline before Nano starts. I'm hoping to be able to do that, but I'm not entirely sure if I am sure I want to do that. Guys, I have no idea what I'm doing here. But anyways, that is the basic gist of my story. Two sisters and their dad trying to survive during the zombie outbreak while one of them has diabetes. All right, on to the various resources I found while researching how to write a book. So going into this, I knew that I wanted to learn more about plotting and structuring of novels. I'm actually not that concerned about the writing part of it as far as the words that I'm going to use or like making sentences or anything. I've always been told, through school and stuff that I'm a pretty good writer. Granted, most of that was like scientific writing or like writing papers for school. It was never fiction. So my downfall or my shortcomings come in the plotting area and having an idea for a story, but also making it into a compelling plot. So that's where my research was really focusing. So last October, I started out by reading Outlining Your Novel by K.M. Wieland and Structuring Your Novel by K.M. Wieland. I just found these on Amazon. Both of these books actually have workbooks that I also bought, although I've just looked through the questions and I've tried to answer a few of them like in a notebook, but I haven't really used the workbooks too much. And then earlier this year, I read Save the Cat by Blake Snyder, which I've heard a lot of author-tubers talk about. This is technically a book on screenwriting, but everyone says that the plot tips and like information in here works really well for books as well. And so read that, really enjoyed it, found that really helpful. Speaking of author-tubers, that was another thing that I did. Over the past year, I have subscribed to a ton of author-tube channels. One of those author-tubers is Rachel Stevens. She has a ton of great videos, but what I found really helpful from her is her plot embryo. It's not her plot embryo, I'm pretty sure someone else came up with it. But she has some videos explaining it and walking through it. On her website, you can even sign up for a Plot a Book in 1 Week email video series where she goes really in depth into the plot embryo and like why it works and how to use it. She has a couple videos showing her using the plot embryo to plot out existing stories, and I found that information really helpful. Another booktube video that I found really helpful was from Catty-tastic. If you look way back in some of her older videos, she has this 9-block, 27-chapter outline or structuring video that I thought was really helpful, and I've used a lot of that information for my current outline. She's also writing a new book right now, and she's been doing writing vlogs, which I have thoroughly enjoyed and definitely recommend. Another website I found was storygrid.com, and on that website they also have a week-long email series with videos. I gotta admit the plot grid was pretty intense and I haven't actually used it, but I thought the information was still really interesting, and some of you more advanced plotters out there might find that more useful than I did. Although the website does say that a lot of times people prefer to use it as an editing tool, like after you've written, just try to match up the plot points to the plot grid. So maybe I'll do that after NaNoWriMo, but that was also a really helpful resource. K.M. Wieland also has a blog where she gives writing advice that I am subscribed to. Another blog that I'm subscribed to is wellstoried.com, and there are a lot of good articles on that website. Another blog that was fascinating and really helpful is the Better Novel Project. On the Better Novel Project, they have deconstructed best-selling novels, including Harry Potter and The Hunger Games, to figure out the plot structure that best-selling novels have in common. And that website was a little mind-blowing and really fun to read and look into. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is not plotting related at all. Over the last year, I have collected some of these thesauruses that are by Angela Ackerman and Becca Puglisi. So I have 3 of them. I feel like these are often recommended by other writers, but this one is the negative trait thesaurus, which I thought would help me with building my character flaws a little bit. There's also the positive trait thesaurus and the emotional wound thesaurus. These are mostly to help like while writing or while revising, to help you with descriptions of how people are feeling by the way that they might be acting, like showing versus telling. That's what these books are supposed to be really good for. I know that was a lot of writing resources. What I was trying to do was read as much as I could about plotting and structure of novels and kind of pick out the things that they had in common and use those things to help me plot out my NaNoWriMo novel. Alright guys, I think that brings my first Writing Diaries episode to an end. I am considering doing NaNoWriMo vlogs, probably like a weekly compilation of clips. If you guys are interested in that, please let me know in the comment section because I'm still unsure if I'm going to do it. I'm really torn between whether that will motivate me or whether that's just going to be a time suck that takes away from my writing time. I'm not sure. But if it's something that people are interested in seeing, I will be much more likely to actually do it. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you like bookish content. that is all I have for now. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bookworms, keep reading. Bye. Anyways, so last year I planned, anyways, a couple years ago I thought and they also both, quiet. If you want to do that, you gotta go outside. That go along with them that I also bought. Hey, stop. I looked through, I subscribed to, something that, so on the on that blog, that person, bye.